Hey guys, it's Tyler. Welcome back to the channel. We're all about hiking, gear, reviews, and all those sorts of things. If that's something you're interested in, could you please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. Don't forget to press the bell so you get notified on my next video. Now today's video is going to be about how to lighten your backpack for free. Let's get into it. So first off, I've got a bunch of items here, and that's all clothes. Now, a lot of people, when they go out, they will take way too much clothes, too many pairs of socks, jocks, jumpers, t-shirts for every day, maybe a couple pairs of shorts, a pair of pants. So I'm going to go over with what I take, and of course this fits me comfortably. So if you don't feel as comfortable carrying as little as I do, of course that's fine, but these are just some tips. So first off, of course, is an extra pair of socks. Now, I have a pair of socks on my feet while I'm hiking, and then I'll have another pair in my bag, and I recommend these. These are the Injinji toe socks. These are perfect for winter, for summer, for snow, any sorts of that. I love these, and these are my go-to pair of socks. Now, I don't carry a big jumper. In the colder months, I will carry a puffer jacket that I have here, but my main go-to mid-layer used to be a fleece, but is now, this is an Alpha Direct hoodie made by a company here in Australia called Zero Gear. These guys are amazing. This jumper is amazing. Super warm, super light. Doing a review on this in the upcoming, probably next week. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. And then the only other bit of item that I take is this here. This is a merino wool t-shirt. This is a base layer. This is what I take for around camp to sleep in, so I'm not in my, sweaty sun hoodie. And this just, just feels a bit fresh. And that is literally all I take on probably 75 to 80% of my trips. Unless it's the colder months, of course. What I will take sometimes, depending on how I'm feeling or how cold it's going to be, will be a pair of gloves, which I don't always take. And also depending on how cold it's going to be, depends on what socks I'll sleep in. So I won't sleep in my Injinji toe socks because I don't want my feet to freeze, just in case it gets a bit too cold. So I'll take 2 pairs of socks, or 1 extra pair of socks, on top of the Injinjis that'll be in my bag. That'll either be these thick merino wool socks here, or just a mid-layer, sort of like mid-weight range of merino wool. So there's both merino, warm. These ones are a bit heavier, but they're still pretty light, and that just depends on where I'm going to be camping for the night. Last but not least for clothes is my puffer jacket of choice, and this is just a MacPack down. So this is just a MacPack down. This thing's amazing, folds up really small, super light, super warm, does the job with all my other bits of clothing paired together, and this has got me down to -7 with all the other bits and pieces, so does the job. Now, while I'm on top of clothing, sort of on the topic of survival, because some people think they need to carry more because they think something's going to go wrong. Now, when you're out on trail, leave the survival kit or the EDC kit, whatever you want to call it, at home. Me, myself, bit of a survivalist. My first trip, after 5 years of hiking, I finally had my own gear, packed my own stuff, and I brought my EDC bag, which is this. Now, I did not need this. This is overkill, this is stupid. This is something that sits in your car or whatever it may be, but I'm a bit of a survivalist, so I thought, I'm going to need my EDC, which I'm telling you, leave that at home, save yourself, this is probably about 1 kilo worth of stuff. It's ridiculous. You don't need it. I can promise you, if things go sour on trail, you still won't use anything that'll be in here. So leave that at home. While sort of on that survival topic, knives and swords. Now, when I first went on my trip by myself that I'd planned, I was in the snow, so what I'd done is I brought a saw. Now it's not a big saw, it's just a foldable saw, but I never used it. I didn't need to use it. There was a fire pit there, and we just put the branches that we snapped ourselves into it. Didn't need a saw. Plus, mind you, the cabin where we were, there was actually a little saw left by the scouts. So you don't need a saw. This is more for bushcraft sort of style things, which if you're doing, it's completely different, of course. But for your basic hiking, leave the saw at home. It'll save you a ton of weight. On that sort of topic of saws, as I said, knives. You don't need one of these. I brought this on the same trip. Started showing it around, thought I was, Mr. Rambo. You don't need this. This is overkill. There's nothing that you're ever going to use this for, and I can promise you this is just stupid to bring on trail. Then there's these sort of knives. This is just a basic flick knife. This is overkill as well. You're never going to use this. You're never going to need this. This is just, it's bulky, it's heavy, it might look cool, but you're not going to need it. Leave this knife at home as well. Now, if you want a knife, one that I highly recommend is this one here. And that's the Swiss Army Classic Mini. So this has got a knife on there, scissors, file, toothpick, tweezers. It's got all you need. It's tiny, it's compactable, fits in, your pocket, your little ditty bag, whatever it may be. And you're never going to use a knife either, unless maybe you got some cheese or an avocado or something you want to cut. The only thing you're ever going to use is scissors. I can tell you, I've used the scissors a dozen times, never used a knife. The scissors are good for cutting thread, Luco tape, maybe a bit of plastic on your food. You're not going to need a knife, so leave the knife at home, invest in something little, or don't even bring a knife at all if you know you're not going to use it. So that's one that I have for you. Leave your knife at home. Now, knives, survival kind of goes into first aid. Maybe you got a big bulky first aid kit under the Christmas tree last year. You're like, I'm going to take this on a trail. Leave that at home as well. So this is what I took. Now, this has got everything in there. It's got, instant cold packs and heat pack sort of things, and bandages and trauma kits, and just, it's got everything. This is overkill. This is way too heavy. This is stupid. You do not need this. I can promise you the world won't end. You're not going to run into too much trouble out on trail. I think the worst thing I've witnessed is a couple blisters and some scrapes on trees and branches. Leave the big bulky first aid kit at home, and I'll show you what I take. So this is what I take. This is not only my first aid kit, but this is my repair kit. And all I keep in here is some extra aqua tabs in case my water filter decides to not work or something goes wrong there. Some alcohol wipes, some ibuprofen, and that's about it. The Luco tape I use for doing, like if I got a blister, if I got a cut or a scratch, whatever it may be, just put some Luco tape on there, maybe an alcohol wipe, give it a wash with some water before all that. And, if it's really severe, then, I'm going to have to take action and do something else. But I've never witnessed, and I've never come across, I've never dealt with anything like that. So this is what I'm comfortable with taking, because I know I'm just going to get a scratch or something like that. I can put some Luco tape on it, and I'll deal with it once I get home. So, of course, there's other medical kits out there, like the Adventure Medical Kit. You can take some bits and bobs out, maybe add some bits in. But you don't need to go all out and have, antibacterial cream, burn cream, fungus cream, all that sort of stuff. Even just, if you're worried about chafing, get yourself some lip balm. It's good for, of course, lip balm itself, keeping your lips from not getting chapped. But you can rub it on, a buff, a bit of clothing. If you're someone who takes toilet paper, rub it on a bit of toilet paper and rub it in the areas you're chafing, and it'll save you. And I can tell you, I've done that a few times. So I mentioned toilet paper just a second ago, which is, hygiene sort of level. Now, with hygiene, you don't need to bring, deodorants. You don't need to bring cologne. You don't need to go all out and bring, makeup, maybe that sort of stuff. I know makeup isn't hygiene, but some people, just feel like they want to look nice. You don't need to worry on trail. People smell, people look sweaty, but everyone is loving, they're nice, and they're not gonna care on how you look or how you smell. If anything, they're gonna care of what backpack you've got. So leave all that stuff at home. You don't need that. But while we're on the topic of hygiene and toilet paper, now this is another big one for me. So when I started out, I used to take a roll every single time, just a fresh roll, squish it, put it in a Ziploc bag, and that was what I'd take. And it would always be coming home, and I probably wouldn't even use a quarter of a full roll. So I'm like, what can I opt out to? And what I went to is the bidet. Now this red thing here is my bidet. It just screws onto the top of my bottle cap, and it does the job. Give it a little squeeze, good to go. And you can see the size difference. Like, this is also my hygiene kit, so it's got my hand sanitizer in there. And that's all I take. You don't need a full roll. And if you're someone who's not comfortable with using a bidet, that is completely fine. What I recommend you do is when you've got your toilet paper in your bathroom and it starts to run a bit low, then take it off, put it in a drawer in the cupboard, wherever you put your hiking gear, and use that for the trail, because there's no point taking a full roll, because I can promise you're never going to use a full roll. But hygiene, all you need, hand sanitizer, and that's the most important part of hygiene in my comfort level that I feel. But I do recommend get yourself a bidet. Now, on the topic of water bottles, of course, is water. Now, some people will have those big bladders that they get that come free with bags, or their friend recommended to get. I am a big believer in throwing them in the bin. Reason number one is you can't see how much water you've actually drank. You might be able to feel it. Oh yeah, it feels half full. Go to have a sip, and that's it, it's gone. So you can't see how much water you're drinking, which worries me. And not only that, it's uncomfortable. It sits on your back and it pushes, it sloshes around, and people might think that it's comfortable, but I've used one a few times and they're not nice. You don't need them. Throw them in the bin, and the best option to do and swap it out for is smart water bottles. You cannot go wrong with these bad boys. Now, these things, as you can tell, seen a lot of miles, a lot of Ks. You can see these just, they're thin. So these things just sit in the sides of your pack, in your little pockets there, your side pockets. You can see how much water you're drinking. Their tops, you can change to different types of caps, sports caps, pop tops, whatever you want. You can also, a lot of these will also match whatever water filter, Sawyer or Hydro Blue, no matter what you use. So that's a bonus in itself. And if you're someone who's a bit worried, oh, that's only 2 litres, what about if he runs out of water? Well, then there's another option you can do, and that's get one of these. This is a water bladder by Canuck. Now, this thing's a 2 litre bladder. It's got amazing opening in the mouth, so it gets to all those hard to reach places. As you can see there, it's big wide open mouth, and it just folds over. This thing then slides across, locks it in place, and this is also compatible with most water filters again. Now, you can't go wrong. That's 4 litres of water, and this will still weigh less and take up less room in your pack than one of those big water bladders. So I recommend you remove them straight away. So one last thing is food. Now, you don't need to bring as much food as you think. There's so many times that I used to come back from trail and I'd still have a couple packs of ramen. I'd have another, full pack of maybe nuts or peanuts, whatever it may be. Some beef jerky left, maybe some wraps, an extra tuna packet. Now, I've got a video that I just done recently that I'll put up in the cards above, and that is what I take on a 3-day backpacking trip. Maybe you can get some little tips and tricks off that. You don't need as much as you think. You don't need to carry extra days of food. You don't need to overdo on snacks, because I can promise you, you're not going to run out. A lot of the time when people go on trips, they don't even get that hungry, because they hike, they have a little bite to eat, and they go straight to sleep, wake up and go again. Everyone, of course, is different. Make sure you stay in your comfort range. Don't overdo it and go, oh, he's taking all this, I'm going to throw all this out my bag. Best thing you do before you trip, lay everything out, look at everything you've got and go, do I need 5 packs of ramen? I'm going for 2 nights. Do I need 3 jumpers? It's going to get down to a load of 12. Just look at what you've got and go, and consider, do you actually need to take it? Because a lot of the time you're going to throw a whole bunch of stuff out, or you're going to be on trail. It's like, oh, this is, my bag's heavy, I'm struggling. You're going to get back and be like, oh, I didn't need this, I didn't use that, didn't even know I packed that. So just reevaluate what you've got, and hopefully that helps. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.